This is a historic moment, and America must seize on this moment. And I truly believe, as I actually told the vice president last night when I called him, that I think this is a moment to put a woman of color on that ticket. And there are so many incredibly qualified women. But if you want to heal this nation right now, my party, yes, but our nation, this is sure a hell of a way to do it.
So what you just saw there was Amy Klobuchar with Lawrence O'Donnell on MSNBC withdrawing from consideration to be Joe Biden's vice presidential running mate, suggesting that he pick a woman of color instead. But let's be really clear. Whatever Klobuchar says, she's not dropping out. She was basically eliminated weeks ago. Before that, before the George Floyd story broke, I would agree that Klobuchar, relatively young, moderate person from a swing region, Minnesota's not a swing state, but she's close to swing states like Wisconsin and Michigan. I would agree she was one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to be Biden's VP. But because she's so intertwined with the politics of race and policing in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, in that state, then there's no way she could be picked. There's no way that her in particular could be picked. Even if you're not sold on the fact that Biden has to pick a woman of color, picking Klobuchar right now would be an absolute disaster. And people in particular like Charlemagne the God, we remember covering that on this channel, where he basically said picking Klobuchar in particular would be an exercise in vote suppression or voter depression if you picked Amy Klobuchar. So I think that because of Derek Chauvin, George Floyd, what happened there, she was 100% done. So this, for me, more than anything, was a face-saving exercise by Amy Klobuchar. Even if I do agree with her in some ways that this probably is the right time to look at picking a woman of color to serve as Biden's vice presidential running mate. I think that's probably a good suggestion, but I don't necessarily think it's all that sincere. And I think what's going to be interesting is the fallout from this move. I think that either Biden has already decided he's going to pick a woman of color, and this is Klobuchar helping him to telegraph that. But if he hasn't made that decision, it's going to be all the harder for him to not anymore, because Klobuchar was a former favorite who's off the table. So now there's a greater chance that he'll have to pick somebody else that might be a woman of color. And also now he's going to be questioned on it for at least the next couple days. Amy Klobuchar said that she's out, but she wants you to pick a woman of color. Will you? So that's going to be something that he's confronted with daily for at least the next week, I assume. In addition to that, it's going to be really interesting to see what this does to contenders like Elizabeth Warren. Now, I've never really thought of Elizabeth Warren as an actual contender. She's too left-wing for Biden. I know she's not really as progressive as my viewers or myself would ever want. She sort of betrayed Bernie, but she's still too far to the left for Joe Biden. She represents a part of the country and a state that Biden doesn't need any help in. She doesn't represent an equity group. She's also in her 70s. And, if she wins, there's worries that her Senate seat will be replaced by the choice of a Republican governor in Massachusetts, which could invalidate their efforts to win the Senate back, which the Democrats have a small possibility of doing. But it'll be much harder if they forfeit a Massachusetts Senate seat to the Republicans. So I don't think she's really a contender. But now she's going to be faced with these questions. Senator Warren, Amy Klobuchar has pulled out and has said, I want a woman of color instead of myself. Will you make the same commitments that Amy Klobuchar did? And Warren's going to have to play that very carefully. So this is just a quick video, obviously breaking news. Can't go into all the details right now, but I do think right now, from my perspective, Biden is going to be hard pressed to not pick a woman of color. And I think that this makes, more than at any other part of this process, Kamala Harris 100% the favorite. I know she's from a blue state. I know that she doesn't deliver any electoral college votes, but she's young. She's an African-American woman. I get that she has some of the same policing issues that Klobuchar does, but I think she's going to be the VP pick.